Did Light crack Misa? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Well, regardless, since you seem to want to dedicate your time by clicking on this video, you seem to be interested. We don't get a straightforward answer in the series that affirms or denies this with absolute certainty. But that is why we are here, to theorize on the material the series gives you, so that you and I together can reach the ultimate truth and wisdom about this 20-year-old manga for the new generation. First of all, would Light have any desire to crack? I know some of you out there do, but it's a bit hard for us to be able to gauge this for him. But if I had to answer with a yes or no, it would be no. While Light's drive as a whole is hard to take a guess at due to the series never really exploring it, I think he most likely doesn't care about it at all. At least after he gets a death note, it's most likely that he's already only finding pleasure out of his own ego and self-righteousness, rather than any actual relationship at all. We see in Yotsuba how despite Misa coming onto him extremely strongly, that Light still doesn't really care or feel any attraction to her at all, nor mention any interest in even the idea of a relationship with her, despite the two of them sharing a room, which would usually at least slightly affect someone near Light's age. But that wasn't the case, which kinda puts into question whether Light might just have no such desires even without the death note to influence him. Although this isn't the whole side, of course, since I believe that Light's personal interests are not as important as they are the interests of Misa. When really thinking about it, it's not really necessary for Light to have any interest in Misa for him to do it with her, for the plain and simple reason that is power. Misa had a pretty clear idea of a relationship from the start, since we see her seducing Light since the beginning, and even implying that they could sleep together very early on in the series. And we've seen how simply insistent she is with things like this even in the first meeting between Light and Misa, where he's basically blackmailed into a relationship without being allowed to date other girls. A sort of basic comparison would be Nikki from Obsession, where she would straight up kill them if necessary. Mind you, Light and Misa also spent around 6 or so years living together under the same room, most presumably sleeping in one bed, given how Misa implies that her sleeping alone is an exception. And I highly doubt that Misa in any world would be fine with nothing happening for basically half a decade, given she'd probably never stop making suggestions like that every day. It's also straight up a pain for Light to keep denying her the more we think about it logistically. It's just way easier for Light to be able to appease Misa by agreeing with her, than just denying her for so many years, which would only cause her to be frustrated, and her complaining would most definitely, without a doubt, be too much of a drawback for Light to ever not consider just doing it. So, with that, I can conclude that with at least a decent amount of confidence, yes, Light cracked Misa. Even if that meant he might have been thinking back to the days of fighting L rather than Misa. If you sticked around until the end, please subscribe so that I don't need to resort to this type of content every once in a while.